Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Bragaton. Let's speak to Initiate Zeke. The broad-shouldered young priest makes a sign of the Aquila. The Emperor protects your lordship. How may I be of service? Who are you? Initiate Zeke, your lordship. I recite prayers and help Confessor Adalbert with the rites. What is this relic next to you? The initiate looks over at the sarcophagus. The skeleton within is clutching an orb made up of many tightly fitted hoops covered in glyphs. A mysterious object, but undeniably a holy one. It was donated by a group of pilgrims who studied the legacy of the great missionary Nadine Alenikov. They believed that there was something inside that only someone truly righteous was meant to have. One of the pilgrims was so desperate to witness the moment of the orb's opening that they bequeathed their body to us. A riddle. Cassia's eyes light up with curiosity. It would be most interesting to learn what is stored inside. Lord Captain, would you like to try opening the orb? Do you have any ideas on how to open this orb? One of your predecessors was the last to attempt solving this relic's mystery. It happened a long time ago, before Lady Theodora was born. That's all I know. Why not just disassemble it? To damage a sacred relic is an unthinkable crime, and to use force to bypass a test of wisdom and faith it contains is terrible blasphemy. Open the reliquary. I'm going to try and solve the mystery of the orb. The initiate opens the lock and hands you the orb. Someone has already moved the hoops around, trying to arrange the letters into meaningful sentences. It will only take a few more rotations for the orb to split cleanly into 4 parts, each with its own question. The answers should presumably be formed using adjoining hoops. I'll form the question in the orb's first quarter. My light reaches everywhere. The greedy will see me in gold, the scholars in humanity's cradle, but only the righteous will see me within their souls. So, this one is not what you would think it would be. So reading this, I would assume Emperor. His light reaches everywhere. It's actually the Astropathic Choir. The greedy would see him in gold because he wore gold armor, sits on the golden throne. The scholars in humanity's cradle, Terra, but only the righteous will see me within their souls, the Emperor. It could be throne as well. The light reaches everywhere, the golden throne. I think that's what it ended up being. You would think the Emperor, but I think the answer is actually throne. I still think Emperor is a better fit. I'm gonna go with throne though, because I know some of these don't make a lot of sense. It took me a few tries my first time to figure this out. For better or worse, something clicks inside the orb. Alright, form the question in the orb's second quarter. I am within every human, and my loss is feared, for without me comes the end. But give me to the Emperor, and you'll be eternal. Again, blood seems like the obvious choice. Because obviously it's within every human. Losing blood is something to be feared. And you die without it. But if you give your blood for the Emperor, you'll be eternal. It might be faith. Again, some of these might be overthinking it. A good blood. That seems like the obvious choice, but again, the Emperor seems like the obvious choice for the first question. Another soft click comes from inside the orb. I form the question in the orb's third quarter. I am poison, I am perdition, I am disgrace. Burn me down, eradicate me, or perish rejected by the Emperor. Oh, that's weakness. With a click, the hoop settles into place. I form the question in the orb's remaining quarter. In your body, mind, and soul, you must possess me. I am no mere absence of stains. I bring you closer to him. If I recall the pages of Life of Nadine Alenikov correctly, this part speaks about purity. The saint saw it as the quintessence of all other virtues. So I wonder if each companion, if there's other companions you get later that you can bring here, they can answer the other questions. But we'll go with Cassia's selection here. The orb comes alive. Its hoops shift around with alarming speed, coming together and folding into each other until the orb opens completely, laying its treasure bare. Missionary Oath. An ancient scroll containing a solemn vow of service to the Emperor, penned by an unknown missionary from the words of the great Nadine Alenikov. Once per combat, if the wearer does not use any abilities during their turn, it can end their turn to immediately grant all adjacent allies an extra turn with 1 AP. Initiate stares at the relic in your hand, stunned. How strange and exciting it is to behold the holy object that has lain hidden from the eye for so many years. Surely it is a great day upon which the rogue trader himself has revealed the legacy of great missionaries to us all. All hail the rogue trader, who solved the mystery of the sacred relic.
Is there money to be made?
The Aquila Anima, a fragment of the Cathedral of Eternal Redemption brought from the Shrine World of Solace 6, now lost. Sure, we'll offer a prayer. Recite a prayer, the one you remember best. Also, is that an A? Oh, they're different letters, so you could just spell out Furia. That's what I get for not paying attention. Alright, there he is. Adalbert. Confessor Adalbert, a plump, rosy-cheeked old man, is lighting candles, taking his time with each. Glints of fire dance on his heavy golden aquila, and in his sky-blue eyes as he addresses you, smiling. The Emperor protects your lordship. Are you here to pray, or have mundane matters brought you to me? There is an incredibly profound quality to his voice, and he speaks with mesmerizing timbre. Remind me, what is it you do on my ship? I am the ship's confessor, your lordship. No vessel that abides by the Imperium's laws can sail the void without a spiritual guide. Even a smaller-sized ship that does not have a member of the ecclesiarchy on board entrusts all matters of faith to a layperson who is a staunch adherent of the creed. A rogue trader's flagship, naturally, is expected to have a confessor who comes from a line of his reverent servants. I am such a one. I'm entrusted with caring for the reliquary chapel and the dynastic crypt. I also conduct liturgies, consecrate the ship's bays, and strengthen the crew's hearts whenever a dark hour is upon us, lest any among them falter in the face of the horrors lurking in the darkness, and fail in their duty. Tell me, Adalbert, you visit the shrine confessional to repent as the other officers do? Why, I always find time for penance in my morning and evening shifts, your lordship. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? So we already know the orphans is tied to high factotum. An irrelevant question. His face takes on an expression of fathomless wisdom and calm. Our fates are in the Emperor's hands, and he does as his plans require. We'll say it anyway. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? Do you mean spiritual nourishment? It is ever in short supply. Those children who are illiterate could use new prayer books and hagiographies for their own perusal and to read to the others. I see. It wasn't you. For a moment I thought you had come to confess, but now I see you have taken on the role of cleric yourself. May the Emperor guide you on your quest for answers. Tell me about the dynastic crypt. Every rogue trader takes care to maintain an appropriate place of repose on board their flagship, for their capital may change with the passing of centuries, but the vessel of the Emperor's anointed serves them for millennia. It is more than just a symbol of the dynasty's authority. It is a source of its power, the Lord Captain's seat in the void whence they reign over their many lands. Von Valancia's crypt is where rogue traders and the most loyal servants are laid to rest. As a ship's confessor, I perform the rites of burial and remembrances for these honored dead. Adalbert lets out a heavy sigh. It never occurred to this old man that he might have to send Lady Theodora on her final journey, but all is the Emperor's will. I'd like to find out more about this place. Adalbert smiles warmly at you. I could talk about the Reliquary Chapel for hours. Is this the only place of worship on the ship? Why no. There are multiple sancta on every deck, where your subjects pray fervently, and the clergy keeps a close watch on the firmness of their faith. This, on the other hand, he gestures around the glittering reliquary, is the holiest of holy places, where only the noblest among your servants are permitted to set foot. I want those on other decks to be able to partake of this exuberance as well. Adalbert's eyebrows arch upward. Truly a most generous and gracious gesture, your lordship. I will arrange for commoners who have distinguished themselves in their service to be allowed in here. An event like that will fill them with fervor, and they'll pass down the memory of what they have seen to their offspring. Where does this collection of sacred relics come from? Whoops. Every relic we have here was either arduously tracked down by your ancestors, captured in battle against the faithless, or received as a gift for glorious deeds. A show of loyalty to the Emperor that speaks for itself, does it not? He makes no effort to conceal his pride. For our part, we keep the precious relics intact and undisturbed as we conduct liturgies and perform rites. Initiate Zeke is especially diligent in his care for the relics. Though he is of common stock, he earned his position through dedication and piety. I have other questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I'd like to hear the Imperium's tenets from you. In a voice brimming with solemnity, Adalbert begins. Every man and woman has their place in the order he created, and this order must be followed by the will of one's superiors obeyed. Beware of witches, for they have been stained by the warp. Persecute mutants, for they have perversions of the human form, and hate the accursed Xenos. The Imperial Creed prescribes being wary of psychers, but the Imperium needs them. You are right. Without the astropaths, we are deaf and blind, and there are many other psychers laboring for the good of humanity. That is their place within the Emperor's design, but only those among them who accept his light and have been authorized. Dira scoffs contemptuously. For once in your life, you just admit that it doesn't take a tongue-calloused form of prayer to handle the warp's dangers. The Ecclesiarchy tells us to persecute mutants, but an exception was made for navigators. The Navis Nobilite are different from most humans, but their differences are a blessing. They are noble servants of the Imperium, who help humanity expand its galactic domain. Do you not see that as a higher purpose that pleases the Emperor? It is a pleasure to hear that, unlike the ignorant rabble, you give due acknowledgement to the greatness of our deeds, Confessor. Among the Adeptus Mechanicus, the Emperor is known as the Omnissiah. Well, part of the Adeptus Mechanicus. There's a bit of a schism back in the day about that. They have their own form of worship. Do they truly share our beliefs? Most certainly. Different likenesses of the Emperor and ways of worshipping him can be found across the Imperium's worlds. But we all believe in the one, as long as they pay their tithes. Come to think of it, my warrant entitles me to violate the Imperial Creed in many ways, because the warrant of trade was given out before the Emperor became a god, or was worshipped openly as a god. Violate. Those are not to be conceived of as violations. A rogue trader's privileges come with a duty, the duty to expand the bounds of human influence. If the rogue trader must take responsibility for unorthodox solutions or actions in the course of performing that duty, then so be it. It seems there are more holes in the Imperium's religion than parasites on a Grox. You forget yourself, Donnie Dawson. If Argenta's glare could burn, you'd be a handful of ash by now. Not even a rogue trader is allowed to blaspheme against the Holy Faith. Albert clutches his chest and exclaims in a fearful voice, "For the sake of your own soul's salvation, this conversation is over." After hearing this, I have to spend no less than 3 watches praying for your lordship. Well, it's true. Oh, didn't mean to go here. I meant to go to the bridge. I mean, the Emperor never wanted the Imperium to become a theocracy. Alright, where's this? There he is. Have you made a confession lately? Your Lordship, you're truly masterful at springing unexpected questions on a man. However, I must admit I don't quite understand this one. The orphans on the ship have already been provided with the bare essentials, have they not? The factotum fidgets nervously with the rings on his fingers until he musters the courage to reply. I will not pry into how your Lordship found out about my confession. I suppose it raised some questions for you. You have a good heart, it seems. I am surprised. As am I, to tell the truth. Sensitivity is a vice and one responsible for ensuring the dynasty's prosperity. However, I cannot help it, which is why I unburdened my soul in confession. I don't know if I say this if it'll lock me out of this. You're not scheming to misappropriate funds for the orphan's benefit, are you? Please, no scheming. Everything is duly accounted for. We have higher priority expenditure items, which is why the orphans only get the bare necessities. Generous sighs heavily. They are clothed and aren't starving, but for some reason I find scant comfort in rational arguments. Personal items, gifts on special occasions, or Nutribars for their growing bodies, or something to make the little orphans happier. I'm willing to allocate extra resources to provide for the orphans. I marvel at your generosity. Will there be any specific instructions, your Lordship? I trust you with this matter. Spend as much as you deem necessary. The factotum's eyes glisten sentimentally. The children will know that you are their benefactor. As for me, I can assure you that I will find ways to procure enough funds to cover the expenses. Alright, so we also have... Alright, so there is one in the Astropathic Chapel. Woman, lop-eared kleppas. Alright, already read that. Well, ask this, probably not. A lower your voice conspiratorially. The lop-eared kleppas. The confession. I assume you heard my confessional message. Victus replies without a hint of awkwardness. You wish to talk about it. The important question is why. I was fault-checking the Vox devices on the ship's, in the ship's reliquary. Message recording works, but deletion does not. You've helped me establish that. Thank you. Wait, why lop-eared kleppas specifically? At that time, I had nothing to repent of, so I dictated an excerpt from an old letter to my mother. As you heard, it contained arguments in favor of keeping lop-eared kleppas on the ship. I can still recite it from memory. Vigdis. I want a pair of kleppas aboard the ship. I'm going to quote my mother's response. That is impossible. You see, the species went extinct several centuries ago. Vigdis' voice grows ever so slightly warmer. I'm very sorry, Lord Captain. There aren't any kleppas to be had. Your confession perplexed the initiate. Find a way to delete it. We shall forget about it. Will do, Lord Captain. Would you like to discuss other matters? I would not. So those that died in the warp, I mean, it could be Ravor. Alright, have you made a confession lately? No. I'm up to my connectors and work as it is. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? Though some weren't trying hard enough or listening to their higher-ups is all. Or as someone you know died on you, I'm supposed to offer my sympathies. Revelor grunts and looks away. I'll choose a person to come to with something like that, Lord Captain. Thank you for your answers. It's definitely not you. I'll be blasted if I understand a thing, but I'm here to serve. Something else you'd like to discuss? Alright. Well, we know it's a male voice. We'll still check in with, Lucasta and see what her answer is. Or not. Well, the, quest log did say that part of the quest takes place in the Astropathic Choir, so we'll head there instead. Or Astropathic Chapel. Whichever.
Keep your wits about you.
Your Lordship, to what do I owe the honor of your visit? Have you made a confession lately? The Choirmaster replies, slightly perplexed. I beg your Lordship's pardon. Why are some destined to perish in the warp, while others must go on living? How odd. He grimaces as though with pain. Odd that you should have listened to my confession, and odd that you should choose to approach me afterward. Why? I felt there was anguish in that confession. I wanted to help. My confession made you anxious on my account, resulting in a waste of your time, for which I apologize. I am thankful for your consideration. He smiles a bittersweet smile. Death always keeps close to astropaths, and its punishments for arrogance and weaknesses are severe. I've seen my fellows die, and at times the memories are exceedingly hard to bear. Sadly, almost every choir has a story like that, and a survivor who has carried their ghost with them ever since. Weiss lets out a ragged breath. My apologies, but I cannot continue worrying at these old wounds. Directing a choir requires a clear and firm state of mind.
I always keep my options open.
Alright, already read that. I found the sources of the confessions. You have nothing to worry about now. Nothing indeed. I'll pass the confessions on with a note regarding your personal involvement. The Initiate looks at you with equal parts astonishment and admiration. May the Emperor protect your Lordship. Thank you kindly for your assistance, your Lordship. Alright, on to the freight line. This is where things pick up. It's basically a dungeon on our ship. Edok Frenzo. A sturdily built man with an augmented jaw stands at attention. The dark circles under his eyes speak to many sleepless nights, but his voice is loud and spirited. Welcome to Freight Hub LD-987/A14, Lord Captain. I am Edok Frenzo, Captain of the Enforcers in Lower Deck Bay LD-A14. The Master-at-Arms has assigned me to be your liaison for the duration of your stay here. Lord Captain, would you like to inspect the control room or to begin your search for the Temple of the Bloodspun Web? He says the last part with obvious concern. It seems you were prepared for my visit. How did you and Saurabak know I was coming now? The Master-at-Arms ordered us to be on standby after the Bloodspun Web openly invited you to visit their temple. We have been awaiting your arrival every day since then, Lord Captain. Do you know how to reach the temple of the Bloodspun Web? I'm sorry, Lord Captain. I do not. No one knows. The cultists are too adept at hiding and keeping their secrets. And it worries me that you might have to walk around the entire compartment looking for the temple. But why are you worried? Is there a problem with this compartment? The lower decks are not suitable for someone of your status. And it's not just the grime or the crowds of brutish laborers. I suspect that the entrance to the Temple of Death is hidden in some dark corner where you might encounter criminals or contagious outcasts. With the kind of riffraff that dwells there, you might even be attacked. Cassia shivers. Such ghastly places you describe. We're not headed there, are we, Lord Captain? He frowns. To put it bluntly, although the Bay performs its functions well, even its more civilized sections are sorely lacking in discipline. I was only assigned recently, so I haven't had time to straighten everything up, since doing so will require making some serious changes. I'm not inventing excuses, Lord Captain. As the officer in charge, I accept full responsibility for what takes place in this compartment. Being assigned here almost seems like exile. Did you commit an infraction? Franco shakes his head fiercely. No, Lord Captain. Quite the opposite. I was commended for my service. This compartment has always been a troublesome one, and the Master-at-Arms assigned me here because she thought highly of my merits. I am honored to have earned Mr. Sourback's trust. What did the lower deck officers think of Jocasta Sourback? Mr. Sourback possesses all the personal and professional qualities required to lead the enforcers efficiently, Lord Captain. He enunciates each word with pride, but you note drops of sweat on his brow. I hereby offer you my assistance, Captain. I shall conduct an inspection and then share my thoughts on how to change this place for the better. But Franco stops himself mid-protest and assumes a more compliant tone. In that case, I urge you to remain vigilant. The freight trains move at great speeds, and the inhabitants of the residential units are despicable rabble. One must never drop one's guard around them, and Emperor preserve you from stumbling into the pestilence pit. That's where the madmen and the lepers live. Tell me about this station. Hub LD-987/A14 connects the lower deck's freight residential and artillery bays. Our task is to monitor the flow of the labor force and prevent supply disruption between bays. Who maintains this hub? Traffic controllers. The technomats trained by priests of the machine cult to keep the sacred cogitators in working order and prevent train collisions. The consequences of an accident like that would be easy to imagine, especially if one of the trains were carrying macro cannon ordnance. Also employed here are an enforcer squad, a team of Inferni, or Inferni, the clerks who keep cargo records, and a Medici officer, a fine chap whose medicine of choice is a bullet. May the God Emperor forgive him. Not every void ship can boast of its own railway. That is true. Usually higher class ships are the ones that get trains, but it's far from the greatest thing a rogue trader's warrant can see done. The credit here goes to Lady Theodora's predecessor, on whose orders the Adeptus Mechanicus assisted in birthing this miracle of sacred engineering from the womb of the dynasty's flagship. What is the situation on the lower decks? Most of the locals unload trains and sort provisions. We give maintenance jobs to the more capable ones. The rest are reserve workforce. Whenever crew are lost on a deck, we find replacements from among those rats. And if extra hands are needed anywhere else, there are always more than enough volunteers eager to work for rations. They even queue for jobs. The rabble cause you no problems, I hope. Surely you're joking, Lord Captain. The rabble are base in nature, and mutiny is always on their minds. They steal whatever they can get their hands on, and lately they've moved from rations and tinned food to weapons. We confiscate these regularly, of course, and keep the serfs meek and terrified. That's the only way we can protect the mindless herd from themselves. Oh, another thing the bastards do on a regular basis is build their shacks in front of service tunnel entrances. That has delayed the arrival of Infernus brigades during several emergencies, and caused air and power supply problems in adjacent bays. We burned those saboteurs along with their shacks. They just keep pressing on regardless. Mutinous rabble. How paranoid of you. To the best of my knowledge, being paranoid is practically a requirement in our line of work. In any case, the rabble are always plotting. Take my word for it. I have learned enough. Always at your service, Lord Captain. The cult of the Bloodspun Web has a presence in this compartment, does it not? That is correct. The Enforcers do not bar them from carrying out their sacred duties. He scowls. As irregular as it is to have armed crew members set up a secret hideout forbidden to the Enforcers, and that they can go around dispensing bloody justice. What do you know about the Death Cultists? Not much, but I'm always trying to learn more, given that they like to pay visits to my compartment. Frenzo scratches his head, thinking. The Spinners honor the Emperor through death. They kill notorious reprobates and heretics. Sometimes they kill righteous folk, and other times even seemingly at random. Their rituals are morbid and their prayers are strange. Anyone not initiated in their rites would struggle to make any sense of them. Do you not take issue with death cultists killing people on your territory? Well, they stopped doing that recently, and what a relief it was for me. I couldn't exactly breathe easy with trained killers walking about. That's because I told them to stop killing, unless it was on my order. I see. Captain grumbles sullenly under his breath. Be steadfast in your duty, Captain Frenzo. The Emperor protects, Lord Captain. The Usurper Overseer makes a note of everyone who passes by its station, every time. I saw some T-poses back there. Alright, well I'm going to call it here. Next time, we'll begin exploring the freight line. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.